Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about something that's kind of been floating past in my mind for the past while. Obviously, there's a conversation about adapting video games and other stuff. You take something like Persona, obviously there's a recent conversations about adapting it into live action. But obviously, prior to this, the Persona, as well as a lot of other video games, have been adapted into, like, like an anime, for example. And what kind of jolted in my mind was there's this JRPG that I'm a really big fan of called Infinite Undiscovery. I don't know how popular this video game is, but it's this JRPG that was on the 360. I want to say it might have been, I think it was a 360 exclusive. I think there's a PC version of the game out at this point in time, but it's from like 2008. Basically, if you're unfamiliar with Infinite Undiscovery, is really quickly, the premise behind it is that it's kind of set in this kind of fantasy medieval time period where basically the moon is the god of the moon. His name is Veros. He's worshipped and he gives these blessings to the world, and it allows people to kind of use these magical abilities based upon these like lunar glyphs that appear on some part of their body. And so in this world, there's this organization that basically enacted these giant magical chains that have ensnared the moon because they're trying to basically get control of the god. They want to rule the world, and basically they want to have control of the moon, because the moon, once again, kind of has so much power and sway in this world. And basically the game follows this musician named Capel, who gets brought into this organization known as the Liberation Front. Basically it's a group of warriors that have come together to sever the chains that are binding the moon and are trying to stop this organization. So it's a really interesting action or JRPG. I recommend, if you've never played it, or you're curious about kind of the gameplay, I'm sure you can find plenty of videos of it on YouTube. But I think that series could lend itself very nicely. We're not talking live action here. I think it'd make a really neat anime, a very like longest running anime. I could definitely see it being like maybe like a 50 episode anime type of thing, like, because the game kind of splits into two parts, like the first half and the second half. I won't really go into any spoilers, but I could definitely see that being, I mean, maybe, it's just a really nice story that I feel like would do well. I mean, I guess you could go it'd be weird adapting that live action, but I just want to see it as an anime, like an extensive, like, series long format like an anime, and I think would do wonders with that series, because I think, I mean, once again, it's got that already like JRPG, borderlining anime feel and vibe to it regardless, and just all you have to do is like just full blown dedicate it to an animated form. Obviously it's a video game, once again, that's over, what, 14 years old at this point in time. Like, it's not getting an animated adaptation, but it's something now in retrospect I would love to get an anime adaptation. There's a series called Tower of, what is it, Juaga? It's based on a super old arcade game. The anime came out like over a decade ago. There's actually there was like 2 series based around it. Those series acted as kind of sequels to this original arcade video game. It was actually kind of baked into like, oh, that arcade video game, it happened, and it was part of the lore to this anime adaptation. It's just one of those things that I wouldn't want that. I would want it to kind of get treated like a Persona game where it's like, oh, it's a one-for-one adaptation. But I think that story would work wonders in an anime format, because it's a really interesting and compelling story and compelling world and lore. I just think it would be a fun series to kind of get animated. Because I'm also in the kick of like having video games animated, just because like I know like one of my favorite video games now, franchise-wise, is Trails of Cold Steel, and that's getting an anime adaptation. Well, granted, it's kind of its own thing, but it's heavily tied into the lore of Trails of Cold Steel. So once again, I'd probably want a more apt like adaptation, because I know like some other ones I know exist. I know Star Ocean. I don't know if they ever finished it, but I know Star Ocean's second story got adapted into a 26 episode anime that covered the first half of the story. I don't know if the second half ever got animated. I don't remember. But yeah, like something of that nature. We might be getting to that point where like something like that wouldn't necessarily, like, I don't know. I'd be so interested. Like, once again, it's been 14 years, so this particular project probably wouldn't be on anyone's radar, because I don't even know whether like this game is popular or not. I don't think it is, but I think it'd be such an interesting thing to see get animated. I mean, to be fair, I was like, well, didn't Shenmue, like, it was a long time in between Shenmue and its adaptation, so you never know. Nothing's off the table, but it's like, yeah, it probably has to be something that's popular enough, and there has to be probably enough pull and demand, and I'm sure I'm the only one asking for it. Obviously, these are just some of my thoughts. I'd love to get to know yours in the comments down below. Have you ever heard of Infinite Undiscovery? If not, go check out a video of it, like I said, and then come back and, you know, tell me your thoughts on, like, oh, would it be something you would be interested in seeing animated just because of the, you know, the story itself? Or would you, if you are someone who has played the game, would you be up to an anime adaptation? Or would you be someone that's like, no, I'd actually like to see, like, doesn't even have to be animated, maybe a live action movie or series based on it. Once again, I'm leaning more towards animated series, but you know, I'd love to know all your thoughts in the comments down below. I know this is a very, very, very niche conversation I'm having right now, but it's been floating in my mind the past couple of days, and I figured I'd make a video about it. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good